This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
Hello and welcome to the DailyFX Forum Highlights video for November 25th. Just scanning through the forums tonight, a few things I wanted to mention. Here's a post on the Eurodollar thread by Gizmo responding to Vinci Balboa, who was speaking about correlations of the EG and GU, which I am not aware to be currency pairs, so I'm not really sure how that's relevant, but I assume he means the E. I don't even know what he means, but it just in the future, and this is, goes for everybody out there, you might want to use the symbols. I know it's a little bit difficult to type in the two extra keys on the keyboard, but I assure you it pays off in the end. It's worth it. And Sean writing back here, and actually the response by Gizmo, pairs do not always correlate in that way. If cable is strong against the dollar, it does not mean that it has to be strong against the euro in the euro pound combination. There are many factors that come into play, and I learned that firsthand from Brad. And that's an excellent point in terms of correlations, especially a 1 day or a 2-week correlation would not be relevant at all. And the thing that I always like to mention when you're speaking about correlations is that these things usually happen in real time, so it's not like one is leading the other. And if you have two things that are highly correlated, it doesn't mean anything. The only thing you can possibly convince me of is that there might be a trade in having a correlation snap back together. That's the only thing that might happen, but it would have to be quantified. I need to see evidence, and I need to see the math over a period of years before I would commit any money to a correlation trade such as that. So scrolling down here, another great post here by Sean, and I would take this chart right here over any other complicated chart with geometric patterns or anything like this. This is a clear uptrend. We should be looking for long trades in the direction of the overall trend, and that will be the case until this trend line is violated, and that would be confirmed with a close beneath this line. And scrolling down here, I wanted to highlight also by Brad 1199, an excellent post, and one of the main benefits of the DailyFX forums is a post like this from Brad 1199, showing the 2-hour chart, showing a well-developed range that has formed in the pair, showing his short entry and his target for that short entry in the pair, and then he zooms in and gives you a better view of that. The one thing I would mention, and again this would be a personal preference, is just that I would look for those long trades, again because the pair is in an overall uptrend, but that depends on each individual trader, how risky, how much risk they want to undertake. Obviously, if you're trading counter trend, that's going to be a little more risk. The other thing I would say is that the one thing to mention is that this is looking a little bit mature, if you will. So the more times a support line or resistance line is tested, the more likely it is to fail. So maybe another short, maybe another long down here. Honestly, that's what I'd be looking for, is a long entry down near this line, just one more time, and then I would expect a breakout. And again, because prices are above this line right here, that breakout might, in my opinion, is more likely to be to the upside. But again, we're speaking about odds here. I'm not talking about 100%, maybe 55 to 60% chance that it's going to be a breakout to the upside, and 152.80 is the area that I'm looking for. But again, that really depends. I need to see that happen first. I need to see a few days of prices maintaining their position above that 150 figure. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com, and usually there on the upper right hand corner I'll go ahead and click on where it says forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.